Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So I'm over here again at Wailea, Maui, right over here in McKenna, and today we're gonna try to fly the Disco here. I got this new backpack for the Disco, the PARROT Disco glider plane. I'm gonna try to fly to Kaho'olawe. You may have seen my other kind of automated flight to Molokini. That's Molokini Island out there. Really nice day today. There's really barely any wind. Right now there's some wind coming from West Maui over there at about just a couple miles per hour, so it should be perfect. So you may have seen the other video. I flew to Molokini and did some automated flights over there and then came back. Today I'm gonna go over Molokini and then all the way to Kaho'olawe Island. You can see how clear it is over there. And this is going to be about a 25-mile flight. So on the app it says it's going to take about 50 to 55 minutes. So I'm going to be using an upgraded battery. So got the backpack here for the Disco, just got it in. Let's unpack it, get it up in the air, get started with the flight, and have some fun. So this backpack's really cool. It just came in and it's a pretty neat backpack. It's got kind of like a little bit of a hard shell on top and you can pretty much fit everything in here. It's pretty awesome. Let me just rotate it over here so you can see the straps and stuff. You got nice padding. I was kind of surprised by the quality of this thing. I thought it wasn't going to be quite as good. And one of the paddings on the back for your back actually has a little hidden pocket there, so that's kind of cool in itself. Anyways, so here's everything in here. Here's the PARROT Disco. Now this is going to be the update since August 2017, so if you guys want to know how this is flying with this latest update, here it is. The wings are just on top here. You can see a little bit of crash damage from my first review there. And here is the tablet clamp. Now I'm going to be using the iPad Air 2 for this flight test. Nice little tablet pocket here. And then you have, that's the first layer. And then this just flips up. And here we go. So here's the Disco here, the main unit. Fits nicely right in there. Everything's molded really nice and contoured really good. This is like a hard kind of fabric here. And what I'm doing is I'm not going to be using the goggles today. This is the goggle compartment. So I have this LipoSafe bag, and this is where I have all my upgraded batteries for those long flights. You can fit the regular batteries right here, so you can fit 3 of them right here. I just have the extra propellers here, and then 2 of the stock batteries here. This is where I have the, just like the charger and extra cabling here, and a nice little pocket to fit it down right in there. And this is the controller. So a nice molded case for the controller as well. I just like to keep these little decusant packs in here to soak up some moisture that's in the bag. But that's pretty much it. I don't usually use the Disco goggles just because they're a little bit cumbersome with your phone. You got to slide it and stuff. So I just kind of commandeered this pocket for extra lipos, and it's working really good. And that's basically it. That's the whole backpack. It seems really sleek. So a good option if you're looking to take your Disco traveling or hiking and stuff. Really awesome backpack. I'll have the link in the description for this. But anyway, let's get started and get this Disco in the air. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is pop the wings on. Just slide them in, line up everything, snap them in. If you guys already know how to set up the Disco, you can fast forward this part, but I thought I'd just include it, just so for those of you that don't know how to set it up, you can kind of see what it takes. So both wings on, they snap nice and tight. And for this flight, you can see that I'm going to be using an aftermarket battery. And what you have to do to fit these bigger batteries is cut into the foam here a little bit just to expand the battery bay. And to fit these little bit larger batteries in here, you can see how I have it in here just pushed in. Everything plugs in perfectly. You have to do some notching, so I just wanted to go over that really quick. You can see the notching I have in the top of the case here, the cover. Just some notches out so it closes perfectly. And once you do that notching, man, check this out. Snaps in just perfectly, just like stock. So I know this is kind of repetitive. I did this in my other videos, but just wanted to go over that in case anybody hasn't seen those. Looks good. All right, cool guys, so the Disco's on here, and of course you want to launch into the wind, so I'm going to be launching right here And let's see what we can do here. So I'll have the screen recording on the iPad so you guys can see what's going on. And what I want to do first is show you the flight plan. So I'm going to go into flight plan here. And here is my pre-planned automated waypoint mission flight plan. So you can see how over here, I'm just going to zoom in here for you just so you get a lay of the land here. So launching right here from Wailea, and I'm going to travel all the way across the channel here over Molokini, and you can see here I have a couple waypoints. They're going to be at 400 feet, and then I'm going to, what's cool about the Disco is you can tilt your camera automatically up and down in the pre-programmed flight, whatever degree angle you want and how fast you want it to be. Then we're going to hit Kaho'olawe here. You can see I'm coming to the north end of Kaho'olawe and flying down the coast. And the only place where I might be a little high, but not compared to the ground level, is this little peak. So this peak is like 200-300 feet high, and I want to go over it, so I'm picking it up a little bit higher so I don't hit that peak of land there. And then we're going into this bay here, Kanapau Bay, making a kind of a turn and then heading back all the way back to Maui. And what I'm going to do for this one is a linear landing, where you can either do a circular landing or a linear. And the circular, of course, it just circles down and then lands, but you need like 300-foot radius for that landing. I don't want to hit the sand or the trees or the water here. So I'm going to try like a linear where it's going to come in. You want to make sure you don't have any trees in the direction you're coming in from. We're just going to see how it does. I have a nice golf course here just to kind of land it in the nice short grass. So we'll go ahead and see, you can see on the screen here where it's going to land. So all we should really have to do is start to fly. So I'm going to back out of here and then go and fly and film. And this is something you should do. You need to calibrate your drone every time you fly. So I'm pressing OK. And we'll just run through the calibration. So I'll have this up on the screen. I'm going to click calibrate. First thing you want to do is hold it down so the pitot tube can get the air pressure. And then we're going to rotate it like this. And then we're going to rotate it like this, just like it's showing on the screen. And then we're going to rotate it like this. You should always do this in whatever area you're flying, just so you have the best calibration possible. Okay, so we're all calibrated. I'm going to go back into the flight plan, make sure we're on the right one here, and we are ready to launch. So I'll just have the image up there on the screen so you guys can see that. And all you need to do is hold this thing up and hit play. So here we go. Let's hope for the best. You know what we should do first is just check real quick how long this is going to take. 55 minutes and 20 seconds if there's really no wind. So let's try it out. So hit and play here. And here we go. Okay, it's off. So it's just going to climb to the altitude. This is going to be fun. There it is. It's going to make its initial circle, and it should be recording and everything, hopefully. Yep, it's recording. You can see the screen. You can still look at the FPV while it's doing its preparing for its flight. There it is over the tree. So it's just going to get a circle. I'm just going to do a circle to get to its designated altitude. There it is, just kind of circling me right here. I'm going to get to its starting of its flight plan altitude, and it should just do that one circle and it's off. So this is completely automated, and I'm not doing nothing for this whole flight. All I'm doing is watching. I guess it's doing another little circle there to get down in altitude, because I have it set to go down to 100 feet, I think. So it should do one circle to go to 100 feet, and it's off. So it's going to Molokini, guys. And again, I'll have that recorded video on the craft up for you. If it gets a little boring, I'll go ahead and fast forward it. And I'm going to try to keep in connection as much as possible, and we'll see when we lose connection Last time it lost connection about 3 miles over there by Molokini, so I'll be popping in and out with you and just letting it do its thing. Okay, so I think it's safe to say I completely lost connection after that boat was passing in front. And, you know, that was right around 2 miles, so that's actually a little bit over the advertised range for this thing. And let's just see what happens. Again, at the mercy of the automated flight plan. And if you're doing a flight plan like this, make sure you really double, triple, quadruple check your flight plan, all your elevations, your clearances, that 300-foot radius for circles it does if it needs to gain or drop altitude if you're like next to a cliff or something. So really important. But I'm totally disconnected from the craft now, and it's just going to hopefully run its mission you see here on the screen. So I'll pop in when I have reconnection on its way back. It should be around, probably around 55 minutes or so, and we'll see how it did. All right, so just kind of moved down to the beach area here. It's been about 15 minutes, and what do you do when your disc goes flying for almost an hour? Well, right by the beach, so might as well just go ahead and enjoy it. So I'm just kind of walking up on the water here, just waiting for the disco, and check that out. Giant sea turtle just floating right there. I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera, but this is rated, that's waterproof splash drone review, flight test, water test, and look at that big turtle right there, just floating there looking for seaweed or something. Maybe he's sleeping, who knows. There's his head popping up. Cool, I can't think of a better place to wait for that disco, but just a better view of where it's going. Flew past Molokini, made just a slight left to Kaho'olawe, and it's going to hit kind of like near the tip, you can see that over there, of Kaho'olawe, the north tip. Fly all the way down the coast, not all the way, but pretty far, a few miles at least, and it's going to go over that big outcropping pinnacle. That should be pretty neat to watch. And then it's going to go into the big bay, turn around, and I tried to hug it like right on the side of the mountain, the cliffs there, so you can kind of get a neat contrast of the cliff to the disco at 100 feet. We'll see how high it was from the cliffs, but should be a pretty neat flight, man. I'm really got my fingers crossed, and I'm really hoping it comes back. It's so calm right now, there's literally like zero wind, that I think it's going to be a-okay in its flight, as long as nothing fails, as long as there's no like catastrophic, you know, failure on the craft, or it hits a cliff over there on Kaho'olawe. I think it should be fine. So it's been about a half hour. I think I launched it, I want to say 9:30. I should have kept track of the time I launched a little better, but it's 9:05 about right now, or 10:05, sorry, it's 10:05 about right now, and I'm going to move over to a little bit of a grassier spot while we wait for the disco. There we go. This looks like a nice spot in the shade. No sand. Much more enjoyable here. Alright guys, so I think it's safe to say we're gonna have to rest in peace that Parrot disco. Unfortunately, you can see on the screen here, it didn't pop back in. It's now been 2 hours about. Started at 9:30, 10:30, it's 11:30 now, so that's 2 hours. I know I can't fly for that long and it's nowhere to be seen. It didn't pop back into, you know, the flight plan, the Parrot flight plan application. So I think it's safe to say I lost it, unfortunately. And I just got the backpack, so you know what that means. I'm gonna have to get another one because I love this craft, even though I lost it, and I'm gonna have to be a little more careful doing my flights in the future. But I just wanted to kind of zoom in and talk to you about where I think it may have crashed or gotten lost. So definitely was going to be fine all the way through here, past Molokini, and then coming into Kaho'olawe. So I don't think that there was any problem here. You can see how all the footages are the same elevation, about 99, 100, all along the coastline. So unless it hit some really hard wind here, it should have been fine. And then you can see here where I have from about 100 feet, 95 feet here to this pinnacle right here. This is where there may have been like the first problem, where maybe to get up to the altitude it was circling and it may have crashed into the pinnacle here somewhere. I'm not sure, but you can see how high it went just to clear that pinnacle. Unless the Google Maps elevation was wrong, because the Google Maps elevation right there should have been about 200 to 300 feet, and that's why I had it go up to like 455. So unless there was a problem where it wasn't able to get high enough and maybe hit into the face of that cliff right here, that could have been one crash point. The other crash point, I don't think it would have crashed anywhere after that until, of course, battery life is possibly an issue, but it should have been fine because the flight, I know this thing can fly for like 100 minutes on this battery, and the flight was only a 56-minute flight unless it hit some wind. But we can see over here, as long as it made it down to 100 feet altitude again, and then kind of curved over here, another possible precarious area would have been right here at the edge of this cliff where it went down to 100 feet, made the circle here, and then got a little bit close to the cliff, but it should still be in its, you know, safe 300-foot radius for any kind of turning and stuff. So it should have been okay by then if it lasted past that pinnacle on battery power as well. And then I just had it cruise in a straight line all the way back, and this is where it may have gotten a little weird on its route back on this line here, where possibly, you know, it could have, if the battery was too low, it could have splashed anywhere down here. And if the wind was coming up, I think by this time the wind was kind of coming up, coming from the north direction here. So that it may have burned some battery power trying to fight the wind here. And then when it got back to Maui here, you can see how I just kind of chanced it a little too much and went down to 16 feet for some reason altitude. I may have missed that in my initial flight plan, but I thought I had put 20. And the thing about this craft is sometimes it reads a little bit off on the altitude. Like when I was 100 feet, it was only reading 75 for some reason on the app. So this right here may have very well been the crash point. When it went down to 16 feet, it may have thought it wasn't low enough, and it went down further because of that altitude discrepancy I'm talking about 15 foot. So it may have just gone down and then hit the water here if there was some kind of altitude problem. So that was pretty stupid of me to take it down that low. I should have been at least, you know, 100 feet. And so that could have been another crash point. And then you can see here how I have it go up to another 100 feet. So as long as it had power, it should have slowly gained altitude and got to 100 feet or circled up to 100 feet there. And then the only other crash point I can think of is nowhere else really. So pretty much those three areas that I talked about. Initially right here at this red waypoint here, when it got close to that pinnacle, the second area would have been possibly in this little bay here where it got close to the side of the cliff. And then the third area would have been along this line where maybe the wind came up, or when I went too low right here. And I think possibly it was right here is where it probably happened, right around this area. I was facing in this direction and nothing popped up on the controller, so maybe it was a little bit before this. So who knows what happens? I guess we'll never know. It's been about over 2 hours now since I launched, so there's no way that thing can fly for that long. You know, it's gonna fly for like 100 minutes total, so it still knows the last known position of the craft. You can see over here on the bottom left of the radar, you can see how it's showing the discos over there by Molokini, and that's where I first lost signal, and I believe that was at about, I want to say 2 miles. So anyway, that's the failed attempt at that long-range automated flight. Definitely a little bit bummed, but what can you do? You know, you do these kinds of flights and you are definitely risking losing the craft, and apparently I lost this one, but still have the controller, still have this awesome backpack that is really good taking it around traveling, and I still have my iPad too. So all I really need to do is, I also actually have a couple more of those 400 milliamp hour 4,000 milliamp hour batteries. So really, I lost the battery in the disco, and so what I'm going to do is contact PARROT and see if they can just send me the craft and try to bind to the controller. Maybe a few $100. So, you know, a few $100 mistake. If I can just get the craft, no big deal. It was a risk worth taking for me because I love doing this kind of stuff and pushing things to the limit. Anyway guys, thanks for tuning in. Again, I'll have the stuff I use in this video down in the description if you want to check out what I use. Really highly recommend, if you have the disco, get this pack bag. It's just great. Everything fits in there perfectly. You can fit more stuff than just the disco stuff if you need to, like I was showing you, the batteries and stuff. Anyways, kind of coinciding with this flight, I'll have had kind of a live broadcast I did while it was en route, and I answered a bunch of questions about the disco in that live video. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, we'll go ahead and have the link to the recording of that down in the description as well. And you can see how it was. I was just taking the video on my cell phone, and while I was waiting for it to come back into connection. But anyways, check that out if you're interested, and thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next video. And look at this beautiful view by disco. Rest in peace. It's somewhere in the water, I'd imagine. Thanks for watching.